lead the way. What did you think about the performances of Fremantle and the West Coast? But before you do, Brad, was that one of the best games of the decade we saw last night, with Geelong getting the points against Collingwood in an absolute thriller?
Oh, it was fabulous, Marty. It was a ripping game, folks. If you get a chance, I know a lot of people can't afford Foxtel, but if you do, get on the Mini and have a look at that game. It was outstanding. And, you know, they were my best outsider for the rounds along. And I thought when they got away to a kickstart, I thought, oh, here we go. But then Collingwood just cannot be denied. They just came back. And then not only did they come back, they put themselves in front, put themselves in a winning position. And then to their credit, Geelong came back and she was a real arm wrestle. You thought it was over with 3 goals in front with less than 3 minutes to play, but Collingwood came again, and you couldn't write the script. Jack Crisp, of course, broke Jimmy Stein's record, 245 games in succession. Unbelievable. He gets a shot after the siren from 50 metres out directly in front. Unfortunately, he missed, but I tell you what, the drama and everything, you couldn't have written a script, Marty. It was an absolute beauty.
It was amazing, absolutely amazing, and you know, just before that game, I was sitting back after watching the Carlton-Adelaide debacle, and that had come on the top of the Western Bulldogs Port debacle, and the Fremantle Dockers insipid performance on Friday, blowout to St Kilda, and I was just questioning, you know, is the game in a bit of trouble? And then that's why the game is so good. And it's like all sport, isn't it, worldwide? It then throws up, just when you're starting to doubt it, it throws up a game like that. And man, I was up off the couch when he took the mark, and I was on Collingwood on the tip. Right. And I couldn't help but think that, you know, has this been scripted above by Tarantino?
The boyhood dream.
How could
the girl's dream.
How could it happen?
Oh, unbelievable. You know, the other thing, and I'd love to hear from get the feedback from, maybe I'm a bit biased, because I've been living here for a long time now. I'm still a West Australian through and through, don't worry. But the chalk and cheese of the two games, you know, Melbourne and West Coast at Optus, and Collingwood and not necessarily the standard, but the atmosphere and just the whole presentation. I don't know how you felt. It's just, you couldn't believe it. You thought, well, I'm watching AFL on one station and I'm watching Waffle on the other station. I don't know. Maybe
I didn't
it's
take
just
my eyes
me.
off that game. I watched every kick, and I've already this morning watched, you know, the 12-minute highlight package of it of Geelong Collingwood. It was just too good to turn down. It was like a real good book. I said, I'm not putting this one down. It was amazing.
Oh. Well, I know it's only early, but it's got to be crisis time. I want to hear from the Docker fans. You know, flag mantle, just bury that. That is just nonsensical now. Don't even go there. I mean, the bottom line, they were insipid, and I had to chuckle because you and I were talking about off air, and I was talking about it on air. We warned flag mantle all week. Beware, Ross Lyon. Beware the ambush. And we got a million callers yesterday on PR, and even some of the commentators I work with saying, "Oh, they got ambushed." Ambushed? I said, and ambushed is where the Indians are sitting on the other side of the hill, and you don't know they're there. Yeah. You know, you knew this was coming. Don't get beaten by what you know. And all of a sudden, they knew it was going to be a mess. It was going to be a fight. It was going to be a scrap. They weren't ready. They had nothing ready to go, and 10 goals a little drubbing later. The rest is history. Look, he's in trouble. I've got no bones about that. He is in trouble. People say, they won't sack him mid-year. They might, and they could, and they may be, because if they're out of the fight, mathematically, turning into the back straight, going home towards the finals, why would you wait?
Well, Brad, I said it on air yesterday. Their next 4 weeks will sort that out, won't it? Because they've got Collingwood next week. After that, Giants, and they've got Port at home and then Gold Coast away. So, and then they have a bye. So, you know, it sort of almost fits in beautifully. We'll talk about this and a whole lot more, but we've got to catch up with James Sullivan because it's Magic Round. They're sprinkling the dust up there at Suncorp. A very good morning, Magic Man Sully.
Oh, it's magic. Good morning, boys.
That is magnificent work.
That is brilliant, Sully. That is brilliant. Where are you playing tonight in the band?
In the
garage.
Watch out.
Hey, mate, fantastic weekend. Some big scores, I've got to say. Let's go back to Friday. I know you've spoken to Marty in the previews and that. The Sharks, 28-18 over the Eels, and the Roosters, a terrific game, 36-26 over the Dolphins.
Yeah, you're right. The Sharks, they were in a bit of trouble there at one stage, and you thought, here we go again, but on the quick back up, and the Eels after the bye. But, yeah, Sharks will be happy with that. They've been striving to get that win the last few weeks. And as you mentioned, Brad, the Roosters grabbed first time they've won 2 in a row this year. So, and a good victory over the Dolphins. It took a little while to get into gear, the Dolphins, but especially after young Sandon Smith, who had such a big game last week in the Anzac Clash. He was gone for the HOA early. I thought, geez, this Roosters side, they're in a bit of trouble. I'll tell you what, Marty, we spoke about it a few weeks ago. All of a sudden now, the people wrote the Roosters off, didn't they?
Well, I did.
Yeah. I'm starting to think a little bit different now. Trent Robinson's just slowly but surely, he's found the missing links, and all of a sudden we're starting to... Young Savala the other day, the young halfback that came in, well, he came in, he's been there a couple of weeks now. He was outstanding, and yeah, they're going along nicely now, this Roosters side, so watch out for them.
You know what you just said there, and let's just digress a little bit here, Brad and Sol, but you know, if you're a senior team like the Roosters and you've had all those good players and you're just starting to wane a little bit, the only way you can turn it around, I believe, is just throw some youth in there. If you've got it, some real high-quality youth, and just see what happens. It just seems to spark everything up again, doesn't it?
Well, it does, and I'll tell you what, they've got a young centre called Robert Toria. Holy dooly. The last few weeks, Brad, he has really lit the NRL to pieces. A big, strong boy, plays on the right edge. And I'll tell you what, he gave Herbie Farnworth the other night a lot of trouble. Now, Farnworth's a very experienced centre. But this Robert Toria, he's one of those young blokes you're talking about, Marty, and Nafua White in the front row. He's another name. You've got Sua Wong. All of a sudden, these kids that have been coming through the SG Ball and the Jersey Flegg Cups are starting to make their way through. And you're right, Marty. I think Trent Robinson just looked and said, righto, you kids, let's go. Let's see what you got.
Yep.
Sully, disaster for the Rabbits, and the Knights just hammered them, but a couple of real cracking games. The Warriors 30-26 over the Cowboys, and the Tigers 34-28 over the Dragons.
Yeah, Knights, they've been a bit lumpy. We knew. I did say to the boys Friday, if the Knights couldn't beat the Rabbits, and some fool didn't change his tips yesterday, that they're in trouble. But the Rabbitohs, I tell you what, I was just talking to a friend earlier. Do yourselves a favour, if you want a bit of honesty from a coach, go and have a listen to the Wayne Bennett post-match interview yesterday. He did not miss his players. He said there's few with attitude. The only people that can change attitude is the players themselves. So, have a little listen to that. But the Knights have been waiting, and they finally went to the left edge, Brad. They finally realised Bradman Best, who's a wrecking ball, you've got to give him the ball, you nutters.
Use him.
They did yesterday.
It helps. Does help.
Oh, my word. This next game, you mentioned it, I thought it would be a beauty. 28-12 at half-time, the Warriors led and obviously didn't score another try. There was a penalty goal in the 43rd minute, and all of a sudden, Toddy Payton told his Cowboys to finally get on the horse, and they did in the second half, but it was to no avail. They couldn't get there at the end. We saw a kid, we all know Sean Johnson, it's another scenario of a young fella, Marty, but he's been over there at New Zealand, young Luke Metcalf, the last few years. He was injured last year. He came back at the back end. Sean Johnson obviously moved on. This kid is special. He had a massive game, Lukey Metcalf. And the Warriors, they've only lost 2.
Yep. No, you liked them in this game. And what about the final game that we saw? Another fantastic performance with the Dragons flashing home. It was 26-10 at half-time. But Tigers are playing pretty good footy at the moment. They get themselves into the 8.
I'll tell you what, you wouldn't think so. Listen to their coach. Benji, we were poor, we were this. Benji, take the 2 points and run. I'll tell you what, though, boys, you see something in games of football that we call a 12-point turnaround in rugby league. Jaden Sewer, right on half-time, is going to score for all money. Now, you probably haven't seen this. Brad, he goes to put the ball down. His left knee hits the ball. As he's about to put the ball down, his left knee's hit the ball. It's gone loose. Jareem Buller says, hang on, see you later. I'll race 100. Totally changed the game. Totally changed the game. It would have been 20-10 at half time, 20-16 at half time. All of a sudden, it's 26-10.
Yep.
Unbelievable how that happened.
Before we have a look at these 3 games, I was just up here watching Patrick Dangerfield. Do you reckon he would have been any good at NRL?
Oh, my word. How good would he been in a 6-jumper?
Oh, my goodness. He's just like a...
Are we right? Are we on the same page?
Yeah.
Number 6?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
These 3 games, let's go.
And Billy Slater likewise probably could have cross-coded to AFL.
100%. 100%. That's the perfect bloke you've just said then.
Got him bouncing around in the midfield.
We all thought,
yeah.
Well, we all thought Greg Inglis would have been a good full forward, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's been crossover. There has. Okay, first of the Sunday games, 11:50 our time. The Titans, 365. The Bulldogs, $1.28. It's 10.5. What about this game? Is it the Bulldogs? Continue on?
Well, he's got the whip out this week, Desi. He's got rid of Fafita. So, obviously, they lost last week, didn't they, the Bulldogs at Suncorp. And I tell you what, they don't like going up there for Magic Round. They've lost all 5 of those. So, then the Titans' record at Suncorp's 4 of their last 5. I'm not writing the Titans off. They've got to start something and start something quickly. But I'm expecting probably the Bulldogs to win the game, but I've taken the Titans at the line in our little multi.
Okay. Panthers, $2.60. Broncos, $1.50. It's 6.5 here.
Yeah, massive game this, isn't it? You know, at the end of the day, we know the Panthers need to win 11 of 16 to make the 8. That's the bottom line. And they love it at Suncorp. They've won 8 from their past 9. Well, against the Broncos, 9 of their past 11 at Suncorp. Broncos, they'll have a massive crowd. How good's the weekend been with the crowds? But, yeah, I'm going to go the Bronx. I just don't think the Panthers have got it in them at the moment. This
is a good game, isn't it? Surely. The Storm, $1.52. Raiders, $2.55. 5.5.
Yeah, and so many milestones in it as well. Like Tarpanair plays his 200th for the Raiders. You've got Pappenhausen and Katoa playing their 100th. You've got a Raiders side who's averaged 36 points a game over the last month, boys. So, and at the moment, and you know what the best thing about it, Marty and Brad? You got Craig Belling up against Ricky Stewart. Oh, I love that.
Sparks will be flying. So who wins this one, head-to-head?
Yeah, I'm going to go Storm head-to-head. I just think they might have the boa constrictor. They might just decide to really tighten up their defence for this one. And they need to against a Raiders side who's got a lot of confidence. So in a tight one, I will go the Storm.
How are we playing it?
Mate, I'm going to go the Titans at the line, as I said. So plus 11.5. Broncos just to win. Storm 1-12. We'll get 9.17 for that. And we're going to go Viliami kick out from the Bulldogs into Selwyn Cobbo at 6.71. And then let's add Xavier Coates on. Come on, we might as well have 3.
Yes.
Kick out Cobbo Coates. Kick out Cobbo Coates. $11.94, boys.
Beautiful.
Hey, Sully, look, we've been having all this bulltish going on. I've got to wait until after the election. I'm not sure whether they're going to have a Perth Bears. Mate, they've got people in place, haven't they, already? I mean, sure as God made little green apples, they'll be announced this week or near enough to.
Yeah, we're hoping something happens sooner or later. I dare say Brad Arthur will be rubber stamped it has to happen, doesn't it? You know, we're only 18 months away, boys, from playing. Yep. But at the moment, the CEO scenario and the football manager, I still haven't heard a lot of rumours about that. We threw one up the other day, didn't we, Marty? But we'll wait and see what happens.
Yes, we will wait and see what happens. He threw one up. And you'd like this one, Brad. He's gone with Trevor Nisbet. Yep. He threw Nizzy up.
Nizzy?
Let's start throwing them all up.
Well, I must admit, I mean, I've been chatting to Sally on and off, on air and off air, and, exactly. But I've been reliably told they have got people in place already. They've got things going. They're ready to go. It's just waiting till after the election. The election is now done and dusted. Everyone's going to get some free money. They are ready to go. So from that point of view, I suggest, Marty, that Sully's not going to be too far away. Now, whether the individuals are right, the names or not, we don't know, but that we'll wait till that's unveiled. But, my understanding is they have got people in place ready to go as of last week.
Great to hear. Sul, always good to chat. We'll listen in on Thursday.
Stay safe, boys, and have a cracking Sunday.
Sully.
It's going to be a beauty. Yes. Sunday up there, Magic Round from Suncorp. Just before we catch up with Simon Hill, one off the text line to get you going, get you salivating here, boys. This is what we want, and ladies. Good morning, Brad and Marty. I believe the old-fashioned spray must stay with all AFL coaches, and if it offends players and supporters, they should change their sport. The amount of money players are being paid, they must stand up to a good spray. Well done, Ross. That is from Snoz. Digest that one, as we say. Very good morning to you, Simon Hill.
Morning, guys. How are we?
We're very well. Yourself?
Yeah, all good. All good.
And well done last...
Simon...
Sorry, mate.
Simon, just going to say, just as perfect segue. Simon, in your knowledge, do managers of soccer teams do that these days? Is there room for fire and brimstone in soccer, for instance?
Are you talking from the managers or towards the managers?
Yeah, from the managers toward players, etc. Yeah, obviously, I'm sure it happens, but is it regular? Is it not regular? Is it not the seen to be done thing anymore? We've got to kiss and cuddle them all the time. How does it work?
It does happen, but I think the old days and probably the greatest exponent of it in the English Premier League years ago was Sir Alex Ferguson, who was famous for what was called the hairdryer treatment if his team wasn't performing. But I think it has changed, and I think that's because society's changed and the young players of today don't really respond to that. I don't think it's because it's about them being soft. They just don't, they don't respond to that sort of treatment. So I think managers have had to change the way that they coach players and communicate with players. In the old days, they probably bullied them a little bit and, read them the riot act. But, it's a little bit different these days. But things change, don't they? I guess, we all have to progress as a society. So that's the way it is.
Okay, well done, Man City. FA Cup, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, through to the final last week, which promises to sort of retrieve something from what's been a rather dismal season. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, really, because it looks like we're going to finish top four and maybe win the FA Cup. If that's a bad season, then 20 years ago, I'd have snapped your hand off for that. But again, expectations change.
That is for sure. Playing Crystal Palace.
And just quickly, Simon, I hadn't had a chance to talk to you. Tell us about the return trip for Ange and the boys at Tottenham when they're going now to play. It's a stark contrast, isn't it, what they've been playing in front of and where they're going?
That's a very cryptic question.
Just along the lines of crowds and, that type of thing. It's going to be a small crowd, very, parochial one, of course. It's just going to be, what is it? Somebody said 6,000 or 8,000 fit in there or something. Is that right?
Yeah, look, you're referring to the second leg of the Europa League semi-final, which they'll play against Bodo Glimt, which is a team from Norway. They won the first leg 3-1, Tottenham, so they're in the box seat to maybe reach the final where they could play Manchester United, who were 3-0 winners over Athletic Bilbao in the other semi-final of the first leg. It's going to be a very tight, compact stadium in Norway. Not the biggest club in Europe, but they've had a very good season, so the job is not yet done for Ange. And we've seen before this season that, that they are capable of conceding goals aplenty. So let's see what happens in the second leg. But massive game for Spurs and for Ange. If they can win through to the final, give themselves a shot at silverware. And remember, Spurs haven't won a trophy since 2008. then he might just have a chance of saving his job.
Okay, and punters, get your bets on if you're into the Kentucky Derby, because it is about 30 minutes off. We'll give you a toe call soon. Aston Villa 1, Fulham 0, Everton 2, Ipswich 2, Leicester City 2, Southampton 0, Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 2.
Yeah, well, let's start at the Emirates. Shock defeat for Arsenal. Obviously, they're not going to win the English Premier League, but they would have expected to defeat Bournemouth at home, particularly with the fact that they've got this big Champions League semi coming up against Paris Saint-Germain during the week after they lost the first leg. So a bad week for Arsenal. He resisted the temptation, Mikel Arteta, to make big changes and rest players for that game in Paris. And it seems to be going according to plan. Declan Rice put them in front, but credit to Bournemouth. They've had a good season. Terrific fight back in the second half. Dean Huijsen and Evan Nielsen claiming the goals. So they're still in the hunt for a European spot, Bournemouth. The other games, Aston Villa beating Fulham by 1-0. An early Yuri Tielemans goal after 12 minutes was enough for Villa, who bounced back after their disappointing week in the FA Cup semis and the Champions League. So they're still in contention for the Champions League spot. They've got 3 tough games to finish. So they've got Bournemouth, Spurs and Man United in their last 3. They're probably going to need to win all 3, I think, if they're going to get in the top 5. All square at Goodison Park, the penultimate game that Everton will play there before they move to their new Bramley Dock venue. The final game on a Saturday. And already relegated Ipswich came from 2-0 down to earn a point. Beto and Dwight McNeil had the Toffees cruising, but Julio Enciso and then George Hurst completed that terrific fight back. And the other game that you mentioned, Leicester 2, Southampton 0, finally a victory and some goals for Leicester, the 2 relegated clubs in action at King Power Stadium. Jamie Vardy is going to leave Leicester at the end of the season after 13 years. Got the opener as a 199th goal for the club, and Leicester's first at home, would you believe, since December the 8th, which is a major reason why they're going to be in the Championship next year. Jordan Ayew adding a second, and that result confirms that Southampton will finish bottom, and they still need 1 more point to avoid that worst ever points tally record that they currently hold on 11 with Derby County set back in 07-08.
Where's Vardy going?
Don't know. I'd love to see him come to Australia, to be honest. He's at the age where he still could contribute, and whether clubs here could afford his wages, probably not, to be honest. I don't know whether he'd be keen to come, but I'd love to see an early club or 2 throw their hat in the ring, but my suspicion is that he'll probably stay in England or at least Europe.
Let's go through these games. There's a few to get through. Brentford so good to win away. I think it was only on Friday, wasn't it? They've got on the short backup play, Man United. They're $1.68, 4.10 the draw. Man U 4.60.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Even though Brentford have not got a good record against United, they've won only 1 of the last 12, but they've found a bit of form of late on the last 2 matches in the Premier League and ended a run of 8 home games without a win against Brighton before that victory at Nottingham Forest. They've got goals in them, as we know. Brian Mbeumo and Johan Wissa, both of whom may well leave in the off-season, which would severely damage the Bees, by the way. And United, of course, have got one eye on that semi-final, the second leg of that Europa League that I've already mentioned against Athletic Bilbao. Their Premier League form has been awful, not won any of their last 5. It's possible that they could finish 1 spot above the relegation zone. They've got West Ham next, and then Chelsea and Villa in their last 2 Premier League matches. They can't score goals domestically, only 2 in the last 5. I reckon Brentford will win today.
Okay, hope you're right. Brighton 285, draw 375, Newcastle 230.
Yeah, this one a bit tighter, and Newcastle, of course, still very much in contention for the top 5, and on a good run at the moment, won 6 of their last 7, the only blip of 4-1 loss to Aston Villa. Again, they've got a tough run in Chelsea and Arsenal their next 2 games before they finish off at home to Everton. Again, they're probably going to need to win at least 2 of those. Brighton unbeaten in 7 home Premier League matches against Newcastle, 3 wins, 4 draws. I'll be tempted to go for a high-scoring draw in this game. Okay. Nothing much on the line for Brighton, but they can score and concede. Newcastle a bit the same, so high-scoring draw in that one for me.
Okay, West Ham 202, draw 370, Spurs 340.
Yeah, again, European vision for Spurs. We've already talked about that Europa League semi against Bodo Glimt. Do they rest some players? Their Premier League form, similar to Manchester United, has been dreadful. Again, they could finish 17th. In fact, they will be in 17th if West Ham win this one. The only hope, I guess, for Tottenham is that West Ham are probably, if anything, in even worse form domestically than Tottenham. No win in 7 under Graham Potter. So I think it'll, again, could be a draw, this one.
Another draw there, and we'll wrap it up with Chelsea-Liverpool, 223 Chelsea, 340 draw, and the champs Liverpool, 325.
Yeah, I fancy Chelsea in this one, not because they've got a better side than Liverpool, but of course Liverpool's season is pretty much over. They were crowned champions last week, their 20th title, they had all the big celebrations, and Chelsea have recovered from their mini blip, only one loss in their last 8. Again, they've got European commitments during the week. They've got a second leg of their UEFA Conference League semi against Djurgårdens of Sweden to come this week, but they won the first leg 4-1. They should be through to the final pretty much as a formality. So the Champions League is the next big thing for Chelsea, and I think they might just get the job done today.
Simon, just want to get your expert observations on a couple of the A-League games held across the weekend. Melbourne City 5-1 over Sydney. Third played first. Western United 4 defeated Auckland 2. Is that a forerunner of things to come, or was it just a little bit of a glip? And the Western Sydney Wanderers 3-1 over MacArthur.
Yeah, well, Melbourne City ensuring second place with that big win over Sydney FC, whose season is now over. They finish outside the final spots, which, to be honest, given the squad, the quality they've got, is a real disappointment for Sydney FC. They were never in it yesterday, got absolutely belted by Melbourne City, 3-0 down at half-time. That win, by the way, also puts Melbourne City in the Asian Champions League Elite next season, which is a competition that's going to be worth around $2 million to them. If they were to go on and win it, unlikely as it sounds, then they qualify for the FIFA Club World Cup, which is worth conservatively around 30 or 40 million to clubs taking part. So that's the carrot for clubs in Australia if they can do well in Asia. And City will be Australia's representatives in that. The other two games, Western United, they've had a really surprising and exciting season. They're the only team to defeat Auckland twice, and they've stuck 8 goals on them in the 2 meetings. Winning 4-2 yesterday. They've got goals in them for fun, Western. So, yeah, watch out for them in the finals. And also for the Wanderers, who were 3-1 winners at MacArthur. They're the highest scorers in the league. They came from behind after Marin Jaklic had put MacArthur in front. 12 matches unbeaten now, which is only one short of a club record. They will entertain Melbourne Victory next week in week 1 of the finals. That will be some contest at Combank.
Okay, Simon. We've got, what have we got today? Wellington, Phoenix, Perth Glory, Melbourne Victory, Newcastle.
Yeah. 2 games today. The Phoenix Glory game should have been played on Friday, but the Glory players were delayed at the airport due to bad weather. So this game's been pushed back to Sunday. Unfortunately for Perth, they're assured of a second consecutive wooden spoon, so there's not really much riding on this. I think next season the priority has got to be, well, A, to sort out the defence, which has leaked far too many. That's been the case for the last 2 or 3 seasons now. And also to get the foreigners right from the outset. They didn't do that this season. Luis Kanga, Christian Caicedo, both gone mid-season. Aoyama's not featured since the early rounds. Hanzawi a bit in and out. So they've got to get that right next season. The other game, Victory against the Jets. Obviously, Victory were hoping that something was going to be riding on this and that the Wanderers might flip up last night and give them a chance of a home final next week, but it was not to be. And this is the last game in charge of Newcastle for Robbie Stanton, with ex-Victory player and ex-Socceroo Mark Milligan expected to be announced next week. So 2 games with not much riding on them today to round out the regular season. I fancy we might get a few goals. I think Wellington will probably be too good for Perth, and I think that should get the job done against Newcastle.
Thanks, Simon. All the best. We'll do it again next week.
Simon. Hold on.
Good on you guys. Have a good week.
On the Aftermath, you are listening to Marty Young and Brad Hardie on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Oh, we're running late, Brad. You've got to stop talking so much, Bradley. We're
sorry.
right behind.
I don't like missing Chris because he is a champ.
He's the best. Chris Nelson, welcome along.
Good morning, Marty. Good morning, Brad. Brad's probably talking up the Bulldogs.
You think?
Oh, don't have to. They don't let them talk and do it for themselves. Wait, let's kick into Hawkesbury, should we? Oh, no. Do we really want to?
Yeah.
Let's start off with race 6, the Guineas, and lordy. Can we have one more stride, please?
Yes. You weren't far away there, Brad, with Just Party. Just got a little bit too far back on the fence, and probably that back in the field wasn't ideal at Hawkesbury yesterday. Media World was up front. And just managed to hold on and beat Just Party, who, as you know, Brad, drove very hard late, missed out, and another stride gets the money. So bad luck there, but obviously a very good run. I thought Zytung ran third, had its chance. I did pick one up in this race, Medella, from the Lee and Cherie Curtis stable, running on nicely. Only got clear probably around the 200-metre mark, perhaps a little bit later. You can never really tell there at Hawkesbury with the angle. But I'm sure this horse is screaming out for 1,600 metres. So follow Medella up to the mile. I think she's only had a couple of runs, so probably another run or two for Medella. 1,600, ideal.
Yeah, the race 7 was the Hawkesbury Crown, and a really, really competitive race. And there was a lot of strength about Lady Laguna's tip and written in Covert. Can't he unearth one? Joe Pride, City of Lights. I mean, we knew it was pretty good, but it's even better than we thought.
Yeah, good first up run, running second, I think it was. Put the writing on the wall there. And look, the first three out were the first three home here. Lady Laguna led Tashi. City of Lights had the nice run in behind, so was able to nail Tashi on the line. Lady Laguna, I'd say she probably had her chance. As I said, they didn't go hard in front. The on pace has dominated. So, look, maybe she's needed another run. Well, she's had that now. Maybe she'll head up this way. But Lady Laguna, you can never underestimate her. She had her chance. All honesty, the winner, City of Lights. Coco Jambu Blue to start. Forget it, ran.
Race 8 was the Hawkesbury Gold Cup, and whenever they spit on the ground, mate, Punch Lane's going to be hard to get past.
Well, I did say to you last week that Punch Lane ran astronomically good time, was through the roof, winning in town last week. I think it was Randwick, and that was due to the wet track. And yesterday's track was wetter at Hawkesbury than last week. So, yep, straight to the front. They never look like catching Punch Lane. And, yeah, as you say, Brad, as soon as there's some dampness or decent dampness in the ground, Punch Lane is the horse to beat. And I hope he comes up here because it doesn't seem to stop raining. Suit him beautifully. I think they will. My Oberon, I thought, was a good run. I think there's a race probably in close handy. He ran third. The others, I think, had their chances. Tarvi Time, Machalate. So Punch Lane worth following should the rain keep coming. And my Oberon is close to a win.
And the Gold Rush was race 9. Dragonstone seems to be like he's been around forever, but what a cracking finish this was. Heads up, heads down the whole way, and he beat In-Flight, Kin and Menmouth first up for Mitch Beer. Was always a good run.
He has been around forever, Brad, but I cannot catch him. He's a really tough one to catch. They rode him closer yesterday. And that obviously suited him. And he was able to just hold off In-Flight, who should be ready, you would think, had a couple of runs back. Third run back will be peaking. Kin was good running on near the inside there late. And Menmouth looked the winner. Even looked the winner probably 200 metres out. Was well clear, but was run down over the concluding stages. So I don't know that you could really follow Dragonstone. He's up and down, but certainly In-Flight and Kin look to be close to a win.
Okay, let's go to Eagle Farm. Big days racing there, really starting to warm up the racing in Queensland. Love this time of the year. The Dalrello Stakes over the 1,000 metres. It was Cool Archie. Great to see Chris Muntz and Martin Harley combining for a big race win.
Yeah, they had a good day, the Muntz stable, and Martin Harley's always thereabouts. So Cool Archie, probably with that run under the belt, health there, fitness may have told over the concluding stages. He had a good run 3 lengths off the leaders. Talk to be sure, another second. That's 3 starts for 3 seconds. Gee, he looks to have a lot of ability, but he's still learning the caper. There's no doubt about that. He looked to be bolting on the home turn. I thought Andrew Mellon was going to let him go and he'd run right past him, but he liked to look around a bit, which is what he did at that first campaign. So I think he'll win a race very shortly. Mosu, the filly that won the debut, hadn't trialled into the race yesterday. She was tailed off early and she ran on really well. She was only beaten 2.8 lengths. She obviously wants further. So that could be a good form race going forward.
Race 7 was the Queensland Guineas. I know the stable fancied this one, and ridden by a good bulldog. Noel Callow got it over the line.
Yeah, he's flying up here at the moment. He's riding a lot of winners. A treble last week, I think a double yesterday. So Depth of Character was a last start winner in the Daybreak Lover. Now, you would have thought the pace was very strong that day, so probably needed a good tempo once again. Got that good tempo yesterday. They went along in front and looked to be absolutely travelling on the home turn. He just strolled into the race. So Churchill's Choice, your horse, Marty, was very good.
Massive.
She's going along nicely. Yeah, you stick with her for sure. Bo Dazzler was good. Shangri last spring. He needs further. He did a good enough job, I thought, though. And one there, sneaky one, Martin Harley again on our benefactor, was making good ground late. Needs further. We'll get further next time. So, again, could be a good form race.
Okay, so as far as a portent into the Derby and also the Oaks, if you're talking about Churchill's Choice and Depth of Character, where do you rate these two?
I haven't had a good look at the markets yet or anything like that, but I'd say there'll probably be some stronger horses coming from interstate.
But Depth of Character, as you said, was absolutely bolting coming to the corner, and you would have been shocked had it lost. So that was a performance of a horse obviously progressing. And this filly, Churchill's Choice, she was absolutely massive. I'd like to see a change of rider. He was up and back and up and wide. He just didn't really know what he was doing. She's $5, second favourite for the Oaks behind Benegill, who've obviously won the South Australian Oaks. So I think she's right in it up to her ears.
Is Polymnia in that market?
Hang on a sec, course I would have just got out of it. Hang on. Polymnia. Polymnia is $10. You'd rather be on it?
Look. Oh, I don't know yet. Maybe. I like what Phillip's been doing in New South Wales and Adelaide last start was good too. One thing in your favour there, Marty, definitely is Churchill's Choice has now ticked that Eagle Farm box running a good second, because these horses that perform at Eagle Farm, they continue to perform at Eagle Farm, and if they don't, well, they just don't. It's just horses for courses like I haven't seen for quite some time up here at the moment.
Why is that?
Depth of Character's last. I don't know. There's just something there at Eagle Farm. I mean, we had last Saturday, 5 of the 9 horses that won had won at Eagle Farm, and 2 had placed, and 2 hadn't even run on the track. Mm-hmm. This week we had 5 winners had won at Eagle Farm, 2 had placed, and 1 was having its first start. The only 2 that didn't have any Eagle Farm form were Libertad and Pirata's Gem, and that only had 1 start on the track. Some handle it, some don't. It's just really strong at the moment. And Snack Bar is probably a perfect example in the last. Had the best form of any runner in that race by a mile, and just didn't let down at all.
Okay, what about City of Lights for Joe Pryor, this well-bred mare?
You mean, which one do you mean? Libertad? City? I think we did City of Lights.
Did we?
Yeah, we did that.
Sorry,
we did City of Lights.
Where did I jump at? Sorry, apologies.
I don't want to talk about this one, Marty, because you wouldn't believe
Libertad,
it. I found it.
You found it?
No. If I could swap the 4 and the 2 around, or the 1 and the 2 around in different order, it would have been nice.
Wow.
This was a blowout. $71 the winner, $41 the third horse, $18 the fourth, and $41 fifth and sixth. And I don't think you can really take a lot of guide out of this race towards the Doomben 10,000 in 2 weeks. Libertad, massive improvement on the first start run, which was a pass mark. Rockfire was pretty good here, but there were some failures.
Yeah.
Coleman didn't run on at all. He was terrible. Hidden Wealth had excuses, 3 wide, no cover. Far Too Easy had a good run and did nothing. Elmore Zillow did nothing. Most of them did nothing. So, I don't know about that race. It was a real turn-up.
Okay. Now, tell us what's going up before we get your horses to follow. What's going up at Rockhampton today? You got a $1 million slot race.
Yes.
The Archer.
Yeah, $1 million slot race. It's a cracker of a race, too. We got good representation from Bjorn Baker's got a couple there. Iona Merck and Sandpaper. Tony Gollan's got a couple. So this is probably the best field we've had for the Archer so far. I think it's about 3rd or 4th year for the Archer. So looking forward to a big day up there. Here's some tips for the Archer. My tip in the Archer is number 5, Transatlantic.
Okay.
Tony Gollan has a massive opinion of this horse.
Okay.
So race 8, number 5. Race 3, number 4, off a trial. That's Raquetto. And race 4, number 3, Fine Shot. They should run well also.
Race 4, number 3. And then race 8, number 5.
5, yeah.
Okay.
He's trying to get the handicap ratings up for Transatlantic, because he wants to get that into some bigger races during the winter. So that horse will be ready to go today.
Okay, and what about horses to follow?
Eagle Farm, Cool Archie, Talk to Be Sure, and Amosu, and also our benefactor, Hawkesbury Medalla, 1,600 metres, Punch Lane in the wet, and My Oberon.
Beautifully done. We'll listen in on Wednesday. Thanks, Chris.
Retrovision every Sunday morning like a lullaby to a baby's ear. Marty Young and Brad Hardie entertaining you on the Aftermath on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Oh, here's a man who can sing a lullaby, particularly after the Demons are up and about. They're back. Racetrack Ralphy.
They are. You don't mess with the Giants of Western Australia at all. So, yes, and you know that's our great premiership winning venue in the colour TV era.
Yes. Oh,
which is
Hey, Ralphie, how did you reckon that Max Gorn liked rucking against the cardboard cutout last night?
Fair to go. He is. So yeah, I'm since the 70s, so he's definitely on Mount Rushmore now, isn't he? Of the D's.
He's up there with Jimmy Steins. Up there with Steinsy.
Yeah, exactly right. No, he's probably gone past him on football ability, that's for sure.
We're only talking about it on air on Friday, I think, about how blessed you would be as a Melbourne fan to have two of the greatest ruckmen of all time running around for your club.
Go on. What's the other one?
Well,
you mean
Peter Moore too. Throw Peter Moore into that as well.
No, I thought that was a gag, but for sure.
No, I've given up on the gags, mate.
It's that time of morning, eh?
All right. Always healthy ruckman.
So Caulfield, how did it play?
Caulfield played beautifully. Absolutely. They've got it absolutely spot on again. The hoses have been left in the shed since that All Stakes disaster. If you didn't know how the track would play, that's your fault. And a couple of jockeys maybe forgot that you don't want to be hard defence, but super wide, just too hard to get to in anything other than real big fields. And Ethan Brown he was absolute master at it yesterday. But 3 to 5 is the best spot, and that's no one's fault. That's actually saying, as a punter, you want it to play how you expected to play, and it did. And obviously the start of the show was Pride of Jenny.
Yep.
Small field in the first, Ralphie. Obviously Prestige Stitchell came out and it was pretty impressive,
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking this weekly with you boys. I've been saying, 2-year-old here, not much. This might be a star. It might be. I reckon I'm getting vibes of Brutal, who won his debut. I know this horse wasn't on debut, but when he won on debut and busted the clock and ran faster than some older horses. And I know the last race, by then the track had dried right out. It was a beautiful day in Melbourne yesterday, but 124-1 after missing the start, and race 4, Calcallo in a proper race versus Ruda Royal, 124-3. So he's run a bit faster than that after bombing the start and just cruising his way around. I think he might be absolute top shelf. Kaleo could be a call for Guineas type horse.
Okay, big day for his sire, Churchill. I think he had 3 winners around the place, plus Churchill's running the second up there, the filly. So Churchill's choice. Race number 2, here comes the star, John Maloney. Geez, he can train a winner at Caulfield. Pobs up, 320 for Bo Mertens.
Yeah, and Bo really is aware of of how Caulfield plays, and he was from barrier 3. I know it was a small field, but he was just right in that slipstream all the way. A smart little miss was just trying to tack him on. She's been going really well, and Gracie's Range just a competitive little front-running horse in basic grade. So this was pretty basic, 104.4. Let's get to the next one, 103.8. So significantly faster landmark. And this was a nice win. And again, this was just perfect riding from John McNeil here, getting into the lanes. The best horse in the race was Scampy, who I was just never happy with it in the run, I've got to say. I thought it was over-racing for Bush to miss taking it on. And Ethan Brown told the stewards afterwards that nothing amiss, just probably flat from a week earlier. So fast is the death with a quick backup is the general rule, and that's what happened. But just for show, I think it's probably one of the horses to take away from this meeting. I think that was a super return, and the Hayes boys would be delighted with that.
We're going to want to look at a little bit of Adelaide, so let's quickly get through these next two. Calcallo, you mentioned in the dispatches, and Oak Hill. God, he's a consistent little horse.
Yeah, so Oak Hill, it was just beautiful, and you probably got a price because of that inside barrier, but so I would give that a bonus, twin perfection. I'm sure Phillip Stokes would be delighted with that return. Big Me's been going around forever. Calcallo in that other race that you just said, I think he's going well, and some of these Mar horses, they keep improving through the prep. So, and that's a tribute, of course, to the stable. But I'd say from this group, the other one I want to mention, just a little coma job here too, boys. On the Ichi, Acromantula missed the start.
Yeah.
It was barrier 1. So they've got this WA horse absolutely flying now. I thought it was overs, and it was. And I reckon they'll find a win for it for sure.
Immediacy, good win here for Besut and Young Blake Shin. I like the run of the third horse, Dublin Journal.
Yeah, I did too. This is quite a strong race for the off-season here, and what we've sort of got is the pressure from Shahaya, who's been racing well. You just had to forgive that Australian Cup blowout, and why couldn't you? So it's been beaten 1.7 lengths. Dublin Journal's a horse with talent. It's run well. Athol fled second up after running a placing in the Oaks and then missing so much racing. Run well. And Immediacy's going to go well up at Queensland. So I think this will be a strong off-season race 6.
Yeah, race 7, Rogan minus the Josh.
Yes, exactly. And again, this is going to be a strong three-year race. They really rolled along here. And the Muffin Man was planted wide throughout. No fault of Ethan Brown's. It missed the start. They nearly called it a non-runner. Stylish Secret. Jake Noonan had to get around a horse that was taking it nowhere, so he had to go a bit early. No criticism. And Rogan, that's why I look at the markets fastidiously as pre-race. It could have been 80s, and they just wanted to keep it at 30s, and it's run well. So this will be a strong 3-year-old stayers race here.
Pride of Jenny, how did she rate over the mile?
I think she's gone really well. I mean, how did you price it beforehand? $1.20 or 100 to 1? You know, so I think yeah, you know, she was just going to be too good. And if you didn't back her because of the weight, well, how are you feeling this morning? So she was too good. They ended up betting as much as $3, which was an unbelievable price. The others have run to their best, and I wouldn't be in a hurry to be on her in Queensland, but she was far too good for yesterday.
And there would have been sunshine in my pocket if Molly Nickers had a won in the last.
Right, yeah. It wasn't hard to find a value proposition, and Zach rode it well, and Ethan Brown was just on a better horse and just picked him off in the last stride. And, in fact, this is the other horse we're going to bookmark today of the winners. Kaleo and Sunshine in My Pocket, very, very strong wins. They've got many more to come. And I'd say going forward, just for show, the Hayes boys really, just for show, Acromantilla and Dublin Journal amongst those that got beaten.
We've got Phillip Stokes coming up between 7 and 8 o'clock, train Feminile to win the South Australian Derby for Lockie Neindorf. What did you think of the win?
Yes, well, I think there's a saying in putters that we call walling. I reckon if you're on Statuario, you would have been walling, just staring at a wall, just wondering what's going on in life. So I had a look. I haven't got the figures through, but when you're 3 lengths in front of the winner at the 600 and then 3 lengths behind it at the 300, you're beaten the half length. Well, I'm sure the winners are delighted, but it would have been a pretty sick beat. I wasn't involved, but I had a good look at it this morning, and wowee. Yeah,
1 up. They all thought the fence was off. Well, Lockie Neindorf said, well, I'm going up there and see what happens, and it wasn't anything wrong with it.
Pay dividends.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. You don't have to hug the fence, but, you know, if the field's going off 8, well, go off 6 and you're still in the best spot.
We can all do with a hug, Ralphie. You know that. Particularly the West Coast Eagles and the Fremantle Docker fans over here, the Liberal voters.
That's right.
We all need a hug.
Yeah, I'm happy to give them.
All the best, Ralphie.
Good on you, boys.
Says go with journalism. Journalism rocketing past horses. He's up to 4th on the outside, and Sovereignty's following him. Don't forget Sandman. Final game. It goes to the far outside too. They're off the turn. Here comes Journalism. Here comes Sovereignty, and they square off, heading to the final furlong of the Kentucky Derby. Final Gambit and Baeza trying to close in late. Sovereignty has taken the lead. Journalism has to fight back. Journalism has lost the lead to Sovereignty. It's time for the Royal Blue to don some red. Sovereignty wins the Derby.
Well, there you have it. Sovereignty, Brad. Looks like a Dolphin has won the Derby. They won the 2,000 guineas last night at Newmarket. So they've had a very good 12 hours. Junior Alvarado wins. It beats the favourite Journalism, and it'll pay $8 and $2.90. What did you think, Brad?
Did you say Godolphin or a dolphin? What about the track? Seriously, Marty, it's hard enough. I would think.
It's the old Kentucky down slop. You should be used to that by now.
Yeah, I know.
I think they water it before the rain comes, Brad. It's a bit
water it? It looked like Moorabbin back in the 80s. That's what it was like. Someone's left the hoses on all night.
Another one here for Bailey Smith. Is he the recruit of the season? What a revelation he has been. I certainly wasn't expecting this performance coming off a long injury layoff. Is the fountain of youth hiding somewhere in Geelong? Cheers, Rick from Crawley.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I mean, it's Holmes and those other players, and Dangerfield, they're the ones. He's complimenting those guys, He is winning his own ball when he needs to, not every time, but he certainly knows how to run. And he can put himself. His kicking still doesn't do it for me, but he's a dump kicker. Yeah, he's a bit of a dump kicker. He gets a lot of just throw it on the boot sort of stuff. Bit of Clayton Oliver, but as I say, in a good side, he'll be okay. But it's a long season.
Oh no! Last night, him and Dangerfield were the reason why Geelong won that game. Dangerfield first.
Oh, I'm not saying he didn't play well. I'm just saying he's going to have those. He's going to have those games where he's going to look at it. But I'm happy to bet against him, and that's just my point of view. I just think that I think from that, you're going to get some good and some bad amongst it. And he's, as I say, his ability to run when others can't. That's his strength. There's no doubt about that. His fitness has never been in question. His preparation in terms of getting himself right is never in question.
You know what I've seen of he must be a bit of a leader, Brad. I know he's a scallywag and all of that, but he's always got plenty to say when they're having their team discussions in their groups or whatever. And in that second quarter when Geelong was stuck, when they couldn't get any run from their back line, he kept demanding the ball and getting the run going. When teams can't get run from their back line, they need someone to do it. It was him.
Well, in their Halcyon days back when Bomber Thompson had them going, 7, 9, 11, I think, well, obviously Scott took over in 11. But you get to a stage where they used to have that chain of handballs out of defence. And, most clubs used to do 2 or 3. They used to do 7. And that they needed runners to be able to do that. They're trying to implement that again as well. But what's the best way, Marty, to get through congestion is to run and hook up and link up. And, the blokes who have been in pursuit of those players, carrying the ball saying, he's going to kick it now. And then they handball it. And they, I've got to go again. And then, he'll kick it now. No, he handballed it again. And that's, as I say, that's what they do. They position themselves well. Geelong behind the ball. Their setup's pretty strong. Their shape's good. And people like him can provide the run out of the fence. It doesn't always have to be, Wanganeen Miller or a Sinclair at St Kilda or a Butters or a Rosie at Port on the halfback flank doing it. You can get your midfielders to really push down and help run the ball out.
Okay, morning, Marty, Brad, Sophie, happy Sunday. Sully, the Energizer Bunny, always a joy to listen to. Well done to the doggies. They are the smoky for the flag. Pies and Cats, cracking game last night. Dangerfield shows that age is only a number. Freo outcoached, outclassed, and Shea Bolton, their missing piece of the puzzle to win them a flag, did go missing and looked very disinterested, and Longmuir had no answers. Eagles had a go, losing McGovern to concussion, left a hole. Brad, Matt Flynn is not the answer in the ruck when they have Bailey Williams in the waffle, 27 hitouts, 17 disposals, 2 goals, their first win against South Fremantle by 16 points. The young guys who are the future of the Eagles running around in the waffle. Clay Hall, 30 disposals. Dewar, 26 disposals. Brock and Davis in their best with the other 3 players I mentioned. All should be playing AFL next week. Take care, enjoy your day and weekend. Cheers, Lisa of Ellenbrook.
Yeah, well, I mentioned this on the other station during the weekend, and especially yesterday. I mean, there's a bloke called Darcy Cameron who is out there at the moment playing for Collingwood, playing darn good football too as a ruckman. Arguably, along with Max and a couple of others there, he's going to be in All-Australian contention, you would think. Now, he can't stay at Collingwood on the money they're offering, $550, Marty. He could easily be an $800,000 player for West Coast. I mean, and I know it sounds a lot, but that's not over the top for someone like him. Get him for the next 3 years, get him back to Western Australia, the North Albany boy, until they groom someone else who's coming through, because that's where they went to sleep at the wheel when they had Nat Nui, and Bailey Williams was supposed to be the project, coming through, and it hasn't worked for West Coast. So that's what good clubs do. They go out, they pinch someone else's ruckman. And here's a young boy from Western Australia, or younger man. He's 29, rising 30. Still got some really good footy, and he's playing his best footy right now. Go and get him. Get him back in, because that's exactly what West Coast need. He
was enormous last night, Darcy Cameron. Enormous. Best ruckman on the ground.
100%.
Admittedly, Reece Stanley did go down with that hamstring, and Blickharves after that played brilliantly, but for the whole 4-quarter effort, Darcy Cameron was sensational throughout the evening, as he has been all season, and I agree with you, would be top 2, top 3 ruckman in the comp with Maxi Gawn. We've got plenty of text to get through. This hour's going to go like this. Chris Halse waiting on the line. Glen Moore, we're going to talk about what happened here in the Retrovision Fremantle Pacing Cup on Friday night. Mr. Smarty, what a win, what a drive from Hall Jr. And then Phil Stokes will talk about the South Australian derby taken out by the Philly Feminale yesterday. But first, quick break.
Racing. Iconic Jet began well, so did Giacomo. Rippin' Moses third. Wide out going forward, Sunset Worm. And then West on Coal, Patterson Road, Formula Fun, Echoes of Dad. Giacomo the inside. A length away, Iconic Jet. There's your Quinella. 10 lengths away to West on Coal. Giacomo 2 lengths. Iconic Jet not doing enough for the moment. Giacomo clear. Trying hard, Iconic Jet, but Giacomo has won a length over Iconic Jet. Third West on Coal, fourth Sunset Worm, and then Echoes.
Tough performance from Giacomo. Chris Halse trains the winner of the Mandurah Derby on Friday night. He joins us now. Hi, Chris.
G'day, Marty. G'day, Brad.
G'day, Chris. Congratulations, my friend. Let's first and foremost, Giacomo, how did it get its name? Have you got an Italian owner named James?
No, he's Italian. I presume he's Italian. He's actually Linda's brother's friend as well, Vince Borg. I don't know how he got it. It must be. Oh, it's after his son, I think. So his son is like that. So they've sent him over for a while, and with the 2 derbies in mind. So he's improved every week since he's come here. So and then the run on Friday night was super. So we just got to get him ready for the Perth Derby now, and then push on from there.
How are the confidence levels going to Mandurah on Friday? I mean, he's in the top 3 in the market and drawn 3, and they settled down straight away, didn't they? The two of them, the favourite and yourself, flew out, and for a couple of strides, going down the back, I thought, maybe the 7's going to cross, but or get his nose in front, but he just burrowed up, didn't he? He's a gutsy little thing.
Yeah. He is. He's a real gutsy little dog. I was really impressed with his run last week because he wants the fence, which he got, and then he ended up sitting outside another dog, and he only went 27.50 something, but on hindsight, I just thought it was a 27.25, 30 run and improving. So actually, I was quietly confident on Friday night with him because of the box draw more than anything else. And if he could lead the 7, he was always going to be hard. He's quite a high quality greyhound without being brilliant, and but you don't know how far they can go when they're in this age group going forward up to the other derbies, and as they get older, they can all improve as well.
So, Chris, as you said, stronger dog. It looked like that he, from the Derby point of view and staying point of view, once he was able to hold out Iconic Jet, he was going to be too tough for that dog who seems to be a little bit more brilliant, but not as tough as Giacomo. Would that be right?
Yeah, fair call, Marty. He's definitely a dog that goes well from behind as well, this Giacomo. But Iconic Jet normally needs to lead to win. So if you can hold him early and put the pressure on him, you can sort of, that's the best way to beat him if you can beat him. It's hard running down a dog like Iconic Jet when he's high-balling in front.
Just put a space on the rest.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, it's not wrong. Big, I did hear the humming when they saw it, and I saw the splits afterwards. I thought, this dog's flying as well. So it was good. It was good to see him take it out, and the owner was actually having his 30th birthday party or 40th birthday party. It was in Bali, so he was really partying hard after that.
Okay, so. He'd be very happy. So when's the next derby on?
Not next week. The heats of the West Australian Derby the week after that. So that's his main target. He'll trial between now and then, and just head him towards there because he hasn't been around Cannington yet. And then, it looks like a lot of nice young dogs around the moment, so should be a good series.
Just on the owner, he probably started the birthday party at 30. He's woke up this morning, he probably feels 40.
Yeah,
he'd be pretty happy though.
Hey, Chris, in the heats of the Mandurah Oaks, West on Gnocchi was a good winner from Box 1.
Yeah, no, she's real happy with her. She had a few hiccups on the way. She broke in really good, was going really good early days, and then sort of the form's tapered off, and over the last couple of weeks she's improve again, which is good to see. And then, she's normally quite strong, so she could be competitive in any race she's sort of in, with the hindsight of her getting over a bit more ground later on too. So, I'm really happy with her run. And then, just hope for a bit of luck in the final next week and then push on to the WA Oaks.
Okay, we had a box draw yet? For the Mad Road?
She got 4. She got box 4.
So how's the field look and the box draw look at this stage?
There is it's not probably good for her. And she'll probably need to rely on a bit of bad luck behind her and in front of her, because there's a couple of speedy ones early in there. She probably just needs to get a good sit on them and then, hopefully run home well. And but you're going to need a bit of luck in the early stages.
Just pick you up on one quick one. You said that you want to trial your greyhound at Cannington before the WA Derby. How important is that?
It's obviously every dog's different, but if you're coming to a new track, you really should give them a trial if you've got the time and it allows you to do it between each race, which is good now. They've programmed this that years ago we used to go straight from Mandurah Derby final straight into WA Derby the week after, but now you've got a week's grace. So, you could probably race him, use it as a trial, but in hindsight it's better to give him a look around the first corner and the boxes that go out of up there. So, dogs tend to miss it first time at a new box and things like that. So, that's just a different lure system to where he's come from in Melbourne to here. So you probably want to give him a trial up there, then put him in and then head towards the WA Derby. And, look, he's definitely got the ability to win it, especially if he can find the front like that, like he did the other night.
A lazy day today, Chris, or no rest for the wicket?
No, I've got a lazier day today. The staff got me covered a bit. I'm actually just about to back the boat in the water, actually, Brad. I'm going to have a tinker along with
it.
I feel like
have a fish,
Spend
have a day off and have a bit of fun and go catch a few fish.
Spend a bit of that loan shark money from last night. It was a good win.
It was a good run. Yeah, and that was a good multi actually. Him into Booney, so that was happy days.
Oh, perfect. So why wouldn't you just go out on the boat and catch a few fish?
It's find the bottle shop on my own last night was hard too.
That was West on Booney that won the 11th. Tell us about the winner West on Booney as well.
Yeah, look, he obviously won the Galaxy not this year but last year, and we took him to Adelaide for the Nationals, and since we've been there it hasn't been the same. But the last 2 or 3 weeks, he seems he's back to his best again. So he went really good time last night, and running 700 like he is, and he's getting a bit of age on him now. So just looking for 700 metre races for him now because he'd be more suited to that.
I've just copped a text from no name, said I've been seeing Booney in these Kia ads. I've seen Booney in the Kia ads that many times. I backed West on Booney last night. You beauty, Chris. There you go.
The omen.
It doesn't matter how you back them.
I've got a West on Tug.
All right, well, going forward, hope you catch plenty of fish today. Thanks for coming on the show.
All right, cheers, guys. Thanks.
Chris Halse, absolute ripper, number 1 in the game. I'll tell you what, the Shane Train's had a fair weekend too. I know he got beat in that final on Friday night. That probably was a race he wanted, but he's been all around the place. $16 winners, if you don't mind. Rusty Gates, off the text line, Brad. He's one of our best.
Yes.
Hi, boys. What a magnificent game the Geelong-Collingwood game was, and right to the end, the result was seemingly going to be a fairy tale result, with most people thinking the record-breaking player Crispy was going to cream Geelong. Very good. Also, I agree entirely with Brad when he said that Fremantle weren't ambushed because they knew exactly what was coming and had a week to prepare for the opposition. But, unfortunately, from the get-go, they looked as flat as a pastry cook's hat and continued in that vein. Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I do. That's what I was saying. It was we warned them. And I'm sure they would have been discussing it within the corridors of Coburn all week. And as you say, they weren't ready for it, and they had no answer for it, which is even worse. There's one thing that you still think you've got the confidence levels to go out and play your style and all of that jargon that they go on with, but when you don't, you've got to change. And I'll give my guy a bit of a pat on the back, Beveridge, yesterday, because Port Adelaide came in with a plan under Ken Hinkley. He's a good coach. He said, "What's the Bulldogs' strengths, Marty?" They said, "Well, the clearances and stoppages." They were bashing us early. First 10 clearances
10-0.
Port Adelaide got. And to his credit, he sent the runner out to Liberatore and he said, "Listen, go and set on Zach Butters for us for the next 10 minutes. Just sacrifice your own game." He's our gun mover of the ball, along with Bonampelli. But he sent him there and said, "Listen, you just shut him down for us if you can." And he did. And then the game got back on the Bulldogs' terms, to be brutally honest, and they never looked back. So this is what Fremantle and what Justin has never been any good at. And he's obviously a very well-organised young man, Monday to Friday, but he is hopeless in the box on a weekend.
And that's a very good point you make. And again, we spoke about the next 4 weeks. Let's get serious about this, Brad. If it all turns to you-know-what, and Collingwood beat them, and the Giants beat them, and say they get away with Port, but then Gold Coast beat them, or Port beats them, whatever. They could go 4-0, but let's say they don't. They've then got a bye. Do you think there is enough push in the club behind the scenes for them to have made a move by then in a month's time?
Well, look, I've got to temper it by saying this because, I've been preaching take it 1 week at a time, so I don't like to look at a block, but we're talking hypotheticals here, yeah. So they've got a big month coming up. There's no doubt about that. Starts next Thursday night, and Collingwood will be smarting, even though it was a fantastic game and they'd won 6 on the bounce. They're still going to come over hungry, so it's going to be a mighty challenge. Yeah, it's going to be a mighty challenge for them, but they're going to come with all guns blazing, there's no doubt. But from my point of view, look, I've always maintained, coming into this season, regardless whether he had a contract or not, and then that was changed to a salary, roll-on contract, etc., people don't understand. It just made it easier for them to remove him if they want to.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now, whether they're ruthless enough in Garlic, but you've got Garlic and you've also got the chairman who've come out and breathing fire at the start of the year, not going over the top, but saying enough's enough. We've got all the pieces down. We've got nothing. We have to get this done. If they don't get, if it's looking mathematically impossible, why waiting? As I said yesterday, you've got a bloke called John Longmire who's a pretty handy coach. They need someone who's been there and done that. They can't go with another rookie.
No, they can't.
They can't go with a Josh Carr type. They got to get someone who's been there and done that. Melbourne is still looking around. There's probably chances that other clubs are still looking around. John Longmire's there twiddling his thumbs up there in an office in Sydney.
Back up the truck.
Can you be here by next Wednesday and him walk in and just absolutely glare at that group of talented players and say, "Listen, enough's enough. The tail's got to stop wagging the dog. I'm in charge. This is how we're going to do it. If you don't want to get on the tram, out you go." And that's what they need. They need a really firm hand there. Otherwise, it's going to be another year wasted.
Okay, we haven't talked about this game at all. Adelaide, 110, beat Carlton 50, dominated from the off. Carlton just again bereft of any answers. Looked slow again to my eye. And Adelaide, totally dominant. And I'll go back to what I said all this week. Adelaide and GWS both played substandard matches last week because they come off that heavy game the week before, and that's what made Fremantle look good against Adelaide when they didn't look good in the second half. GWS was shocking last week. They'll come out and beat Sydney, and Adelaide were back to their true form there yesterday.
Yeah, back in their comfy slippers of the Adelaide Oval, of course, and all that sort of stuff. And they were very sloppy the week before, as you rightfully pointed out. And Carlton, as I say, yes, they did beat a good team the week before. But the bottom line, their previous 4 wins have been 2 against North Melbourne and 2 against West Coast. That's hardly form. They got a bit of a touch. Harry Mackay was back in a bit of form. Curnow, everything went right for them last week. You're going away, you're going to Adelaide. You have to come with a plan, and they couldn't control that midfield and the forward line, which is the strength of, again, don't get beaten by what you know. And unfortunately, Carlton did that yesterday, and they just slipped back into the mediocrity that they'd shown for the previous 15 weeks, to be brutally honest.
Okay, we've covered off Western Bulldogs and Port. Western Bulldogs going enormous at the moment. They go into 5th position now. Percentage is good, 127.1. And they've done it off a very hard draw, and they've had a lot of injuries to contend with. So well done to Bevo. He's coaching as good as any coach in the league at the moment.
Big test next week. And we look at West Coast and we look at teams that are down the bottom end struggling. You said about rugby, the same thing. He's injected youth
Yep.
He's brought in some... And look, are they world beaters? Absolutely not. Are they doing as they're told in the instructions? Yes, they are. And they bring the energy and they energise the older players as well, Marty. You're right. It's far from over for the Bulldogs. They've got the next week's a huge challenge, and we know how good. I mean, there's a great game tonight. The Q Clash is going to be a beauty. There's the first relevant one. But then the Dogs are going to go up to Darwin and play, because the next two fixtures for the Gold Coast Suns are in Darwin. They're unbeaten up there.
Yep.
You know, they're going to be hard to beat. Let's face it. So, but if the Dogs can pinch one up there, they'll put themselves in a really, really handy spot. But looking forward to tonight's game, I've got to say, because I think that's the first relevant Q Clash we've seen in history, to be brutally honest, because it's always been Big Brother versus Little Brother, and we might see a little bit out of Gold Coast, but eventually Big Brother wins out. Well, you know, they're going into this game tonight in relatively good form. It's only a drive up the road. It is the Gabba. The Gabba ceiling has been busted a couple of times by teams going up there and beating them. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
On the Aftermath, you're listening to Marty Young and Brad Hardie on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
1-1G, he's a sport waiting for Wave Rider to drop off, and back behind them Prince of Pleasure. Mighty Ronaldo has gone through in the centre. Around the turn they run. 28-1 the next quarter. On the inside, Catch a Wave. Minstrel the outside, but here is Mr. Smarty now. He's out Hall Junior, and he's rocking home. Gee, he's a sport out wider in the straight. Minstrel with Mr. Smarty storming up on the outside. Then Gee, he's a sport, but Mr. Smarty, he's got the Nullarbor and the Fremantle Cup double. He races away. And Mr. Smarty in a brilliant win beat Minstrel, and Gee, he's a sport.
Well, it's always one of our great races on the harness calendar every year, the Fremantle Pacing Cup, sponsored by Retrovision, and no exception this year. It was a very strong race. Mr. Smarty wins for Hall Junior and Senior. One of the part owners is Glen Moore, who joins us. G'day, Glenn. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Marty. Good morning, Brad. Yeah, great moment for us last night, or Friday night, sorry. To see that horse get that run at the psychological moment. That was the worry.
Mm-hmm. Even had
he's going to be in running, and he just had to get out of there.
Yeah, well, and it was well written and well discussed, was it? And does he try to get off early, or does he stay there and just wait for that run, which he got? And when you consider it's Luke McCarthy on his outside, that he was able to, within the rules of the game, ease him out and get into the clear air and win that race. It was a masterful drive.
I think it's as good as you get, particularly, and you make the point, it is Luke McCarthy, and a driver who I consider, and I've had a fair bit to do with through a King of Swing, and how professional he's been over the years. One of the all-time greats, and he's well and truly aware Junior's there. Denny Roberts, well and truly aware Junior's there, she's in the breeze, and they're trying to make sure he doesn't get out. But he just got him on the apex of that corner with a very slim opportunity just to push out. And as you know, Marty and Brad, when you push out, you can't just grab up and push out. You've got to push out and go forward. You're on top of the wheel of Minstrel almost, and you've got to push up, create the gap and go forward, otherwise they'll lock you up again. And Junior managed to get out and go forward at the same time. And the timing of that shouldn't be underestimated.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the all-time great escape drives to get off the fence.
Hey, Glenn, congratulations, one. I love the tactical side of elite sport. My ears pricked up, and I just wondered, because I love those drone shots, Marty, from the start. Wow. It was outstanding. Did you think, you don't tell Hall Junior and Senior what to do, did you think you'd be behind the leader, or did you think you'd be three back the inside, which is commonplace in those sort of 2,900s at Gloucester Park? Because the drone shot looked, he's just having to think about this, but then he thought, no, I'll push up and get in behind the leader. Were you privy to what they were thinking prior to the race?
Well, the horse you're talking about coming across was Prince of Pleasure. That's our stablemate. So it was pretty unlikely it was going to press through in that position. It came across outside Catch a Wave. Look, we're always confident that we'd be behind the leader, but that's one of the things about Junior. He just railed through. Sometimes that position, you talk about three back and two back, a horse like him, sometimes it takes a little bit of mustering to get up into that position, but Junior had it covered. He was inside the wheel of Prince of Pleasure, and he just wanted to do it smoothly. And sometimes if you do it smoothly, you're not revving your horse up and doing it within its own steam. Pretty confident that he'd rail through to get that position. When we drew barrier 10, pretty much the gut feeling is we'd take the punt and stay there, because if you pull up and go back, 9 times out of 10 you've got the whole field in front of you and you've got to circle the field to win it. So if you land a length off the leader, that was our main aim, to just take the punt, to catch a wave, who a lot of people had a bit vulnerable at the 2900 leading. It won the Fremantle Cup the year before, sat up and coming off the track late. It's more of a swooper. Clearly, if you draw one, you want to take advantage. So our only worry was, and Catch a Wave, a lot of people, it was favourite. A lot of people expected to win. And, it's a very good horse. One of the problems with Catch a Wave, it does get a bit keen. It was going to have Minstrel outside it, interrogating it.
Mm-hmm.
Speed map said, Minstrel outside the leader, stablemate, here's the sport, 1 out, 1 back. So the pressure at some point from the Bond team having the breeze in the 1-1, they knew that they had to go after Catch a Wave to beat it. And they ran the last mile 154, which is pretty quick over the 2900. Very slow early, basically.
Yep.
But Catch a Wave's trying to pinch that race, and then Minstrel went after it to run the mile in last mile 154, which left He's a Sport as the one, Luke McCarthy with the last crack, and they were trying to dictate it, make sure they softened up the leader, and then win it with one of their two. Junior was there to spoil the party, and that's what happened.
Okay, you've really described and broke down that race beautifully for us, and we've spoken about the drive, but what about this horse? Because when we spoke to Hawley on this program last week, you just knew he's got confidence that this horse is right up there with the best. He said he's not the best that he's trained, but he's not far off him.
Yeah, look, he's trending. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, I'm the Mighty Queen. Quinn's just done everything. He's won more Grand Circuit races than any other horse in history. So he's our number one. He's in the top probably 3 or 4 of all time. People got their own opinions. But this horse, like Chicago Bull, was our number 2. And now he's trending to go past Chicago Bull because he's only had the 22 starts. And clearly his record, I think 17 wins. He's just getting better and better all the time. One of the things about him, he's just on an upward curve. We gave him the long spell this time after the 4-year-old, where he won the Nugget. Gave him a bit of time. He put a bit of condition on, and that was going to be the test because he wasn't the greatest doer around the stable.
Okay.
So Gary wanted to sort of get him acclimatised, let's say. And then he's come back from the spell pretty big. He got beat first up, and then he's progressively taken the condition off him to get him in prime racing condition for these 2 big races. It was inch-perch timing by Senior, and he just gave him that one extra run just to get him ready for the Nullarbor. And he's peaked. He could probably race another 6 or 7 times his prep. He's on the way up. But whether we maybe give him one more run, maybe not this week, and then he'll go out and get ready for the Pacing Cup in December, which has been put back to December. So he'll probably have a little midwinter look, just to give him 2 or 3 runs to keep him in trim condition, and then head towards the Pacing Cup. That means we bypass these Inter-Dominions in Queensland in July because it's logistically it's just too hard to get him over there, get him back and then get him ready for the Pacing Cup. So we're going that way to look after him at this point. Following year, probably make the trip.
Hey, Glenn, I applaud your patience, but it must be fun when you know you've got a good one. And, you can sit back a little bit and be picky and choosy and map out, something you think it's really achievable. Because there's nothing better in horse racing, pacing or greyhound racing when you map out a plan and it all comes together.
Exactly, and when you've got this opportunity, you don't get these horses too often, Brad. You make a very good point. We are in a sort of a luxury position, but you just don't know whether you've got the horse tomorrow. Look, things can go wrong. So we have to give the horse, Gary Senior makes all these decisions, give the horse every opportunity to give him his best career. So right now we're in a position, where he's achieved quite a bit. So we're sort of in a relaxed position to now map him out. So we declined the opportunity to go to Queensland for that reason, just to give him every possible hope for the rest of his career, clearly. So, look, we're in a strong position that way to be able to maximise him. And, look, he's on the way up. You wouldn't know how good he's going to end up. But one thing about him, he's got a lot of upside yet.
Holistically, these last few weeks here in Perth, the harness racing, it's just gone to another level, hasn't it, Glen? The Nullarbor, you have a look, and the form out of the Nullarbor just carried on into that Fremantle Cup, and your Mr. Smarty, your Minstrel, your Gee, he's a sport, Catch a Wave, Swayze last week. You know, these are the best horses going around in the land. There's a couple missing, but it must be great for you harness racing aficionados to see Gloucester Park back in the spotlight as it is at the moment.
Yeah, and I saw you on Trilogy Day when we had the pre-celebration, if you like, and we spoke about Mr. Smarty being a chance at the $8 in the Nullarbor, good each way chance. And the big thing about that day is when you've got the three codes together, the Trilogy's created a completely new thing for WA racing in general, and you've got the Quokka and the Sandgrope and the Nullarbor, and you get the three codes mixing. But what it does is attract the Eastern States' eyes to Western Australia. And without the Trilogy, I think that's a difficult thing to do in the level that we've got these three races to. And then you sort of see the great trainers from over east coming. And we get the Nullarbor. We lost the first two Nullarbors to the Eastern States visitors. And that does hurt a bit. There's an East-West mentality. Brad knows all about it. And so do you, Marty, that there's a lot of rivalry there. West Australia pretty proud. We like to beat the Eastern States where we can. And we got our pants pulled down the first 2 years. So this third year, part of the senior and junior happiness to win this race, the achievement to win it, was for Western Australia, really. I mean, you know, we can talk about our own situation, but there's a lot of interstate rivalry. It's great to have this rivalry. Right at the moment, we're in the box seat to give it to the Eastern States. They've given it to us. There was a lot of pre-race banter, having a crack at the quality of Western Australian horses. It was on for young and old with Grimson. So, you know, Gary Senior gave it back to him, Grimson gave it back to Gary, and so on. Yeah. But it was great. And so we end up winning the bragging rights. And what it does is entice them to come back next year to knock us off.
Correct.
So, yeah, it's all great.
Yeah. Hey, Glennie, the most important information we need out of you is the Trilogy preemptive party. Was Master Young behaving himself? Because we know there's no party without Marty.
Very well behaved. And
well, he was. I think he's maturing. I really think he is.
Slowly. In fact,
taking a while.
In fact, the great Silkmore tipped you a winner in the gallop somewhere that day, didn't you?
Yeah, we had one of the part owners of actually Mr. Smarty. He's got a lot of horse with the Hayes boys. Yeah, and he tipped one out. It was short enough. It was $2.50, but in trotting parlance, it's not a bad price. And Marty looked at me and said, $2.50. I wouldn't look at a $2.50 pop. And I thought to myself, it's not bad value. Yeah. But that's the difference in the attitude, I guess. But he'd got the money duly by 5 lengths. I did go over and remind Marty.
Yes, yeah. Got the 5 length upload. Actually gets $3.20 with the 5 length win.
Exactly.
Hey, mate, congratulations. Good stuff. Done for the team. It's just been wonderful to sit back and watch it. And again, we marvel at the genius of Gary Hall Jr. and Senior to have that horse spot on for the Nullarbor and for the Fremantle Cup. Well done.
No, good on you, boys. Thanks a lot.
Love your work too. Love listening to Glen Moore on the Retrovision.
Yeah.
Friday morning pacing preview there. Now, I've got one here for you, Brad. Now, you've got to handle this. Have you guys spoken about the Jake Melsham incident? Does he have anything to worry about? I didn't see it.
No, he doesn't, even though they were trying to incriminate him last night. No, he marked the ball. You know, and he used it. It wasn't a double movement. It wasn't, in my eyes. So, yeah, no, he should have no case to answer there. Bad luck for McGovern. I dare say it looks like a depressed fracture of the cheekbone. They said they gave him
actually happened, Brad. I haven't seen it.
Well, it was a long ball coming in. There was 4 players involved. Melksham was the back of the queue. Twisted sideways, used his posterior in the main to take McGovern off the line of the ball and forward. McGovern cannoned into a player in front of him coming back and then got squeezed up there and he went off in the end. I think it looked like a depressed fracture of the cheekbone. I'm no doctor, but that's what it looked like to me. They did him a HIA test. They didn't say what the result was. They subbed him out, but they could sub him out, you know, for the cheekbone. You know, rather than and with an opportunity to play next week. We'll just have to wait and see on the HIA in regards to whether he's in those protocols or not. But no, shouldn't be anything to answer there.
Okay, quick one before we take a break. Yeah. Saints are Zach Butters and 2 years away from a second flag. If Wangareen, Miller and Butters want to go home, that would be a fair swap. Marty, I'm the bloke you gave a 2-week ban for having a go on radio at Stanells for putting Shanahan on Darren Jarman in the last quarter of the 97 grand final. Great to have you back. What do you think, Brad? How close is St Kilda away from their second flag?
There's still a way to go. Don't worry about that. But you're right. Wanganeen Miller wants to go to Port Adelaide. Now, you do the straight swap, but don't worry. The Bulldogs are in for Butters as well, and he likes us. He likes us. Watch out.
Quick break.
Further back on the field came Snoopy now. It's Gold Rush Guru here in the Derby leading the way. It gets away by 2 lengths here. Out wide, Global Eclipse is running on and snatching runs the inside. Familiar. It's making ground along the inside. It's out after Gold Rush Guru. Familiar takes the lead now from Gold Rush Guru. They're clear of Lavelier. Now getting out. Statuario's flying home. Familiar's in front. Statuario's grinding home. Familiar is in front. Statuario's running out of time. And it's Familiar. Familiar wins from second placing Statuario. Third,
okay, there is the running of the South Australian Derby yesterday. Feminile winning, I should say. Phillip Stokes is the trainer who joins us right now. Phil, congratulations on the win by the filly against the boys.
Yeah, it was huge. Big team effort. We sort of never had that race target. It was always the Oaks and the Fillies Classic next week, but full credit to the team and my racing manager. We looked at the progressive acceptances and we didn't think it was a stellar year, and we got it right.
Phil, congratulations, Brad Hardie, mate. Now, how do you pronounce the name of the horse? I only went to school to eat my lunch, so I need to know.
Well, I did school in the air. You call it Feminelli.
Feminelli.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, it's tough. It's tough on the callers sometimes. There's always different ways. Well done. Did you look? I've watched this race over and over again. Lockie Nine. What a ride! I mean, you're three lengths behind the favourite at going past the 800 to the 600, and then at the 200, you're 3 lengths in front of it. Unbelievable.
No, he rode it very well. Similar to he picked their way through the inside. For some reason, they all want to get off the rail there at Northville, and we won the Group 1 last year with Climbing Star by going down the inside. So, full credit to Lockie. He sort of had a plan that I thought should be a bit more further, closer in the running because she hasn't got a great turn of foot, but he summed it up beautifully.
Yeah, she's a done deal, and a previous run in the Australasian Oaks behind Benegill was sort of like a grinding run, but it was a really fastly run race, that, wasn't it, Phil? Do you reckon that sort of even brought her on more for the Derby? Got her nice and hard and fit?
Oh, it did, yeah. She handled the pack up beautifully. Tommy and the team got a great job. They said all week they've been really happy with her. She's very bright in the eye and was happy doing her work. And, it's just great for their ownership group, OTI, and all the owners are big supporters of ours. And, we just got to work out what we do with her next now.
Phil, you're a gun trainer. I just want to ask you on that, just another point. You've got a horse fit enough to go into an Australian Oaks, right? And more than likely, you think you could win that, whatever. It has a really hard run in a hard, fast-run race. You've only got a week to get it for its next race, and they bounce off it. There is obviously a chance he can snap the lack in, that you send him over the top. But so many times we hear about that one run, it gets them hard and fit. Just explain to us what it does to the horse so that they can come out and run like they did yesterday.
Well, the secret is less is more. So the week leading up to this race, we've done very little with her. She's just been doing a lot of swimming and just ticking over and keeping her happy. So no need to do any gallops or anything. And as long as they're eating well in the feed bin and that, and all the signs are right, you can usually pull it off.
What about longer term, Phil? I mean, like, she's a 3-year-old filly, 2,500 metres, handled it beautifully. Is you're going to progress into a mare who could be in a Melbourne Cup, do you think, or go longer, or are you very mindful about how far you want to send her?
To put it down for her on winning a Group 1, the Derby is a graveyard for horses. So, Coco's son last year, where is she? Just go through all of them. She is in the National Broodmare sale. She's worth a lot of money now, so I would be probably, as much as I'd love to train her on as an older horse, I think she's optimal value is now, and she'll probably be sold in May.
Yeah, okay. Would you look at heading up to Brisbane before that or not?
All those races are after the sale,
Yeah, okay.
unfortunately. So I'd like to, but we're trying to be realistic.
Yep.
The format of those races never really stacks up, to be honest with you. So great to get the Group 1, though. We'll take that, but that's what we're thinking.
You got a very handy stable, though, and you got one coming for the punters. Our punters love listening to the program, and they love a coming winner. And you're just spot on when there's money on your horses. They run extremely well.
I've got a little 2-year-old having her first start on Wednesday at Caulfield on the heath track called Sassy for Sure. I think she's nice, filly.
Sassy for sure. Athanatos, where do we see him next?
He's in the paddock. He'll coming back to the spring.
Okay. Any races in mind? What are you sort of thinking?
I think he's a miler. Let's see if he progresses and could ride him better. He might be a Toorak horse.
Okay. Toorak, yeah, that'd be a nice race for him, you'd imagine. Aaron Bay?
Going great. He'll go around the RA Lee Stokes next Saturday at Northville.
Yeah, and you got anything to go up to Brisbane with at this stage or not?
We're going to send a horse up there called Stay Focused.
Mm-hmm.
He's been going well. He won the Nishki Stakes, a couple of nice 1,400-metre races up there for him.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, it was a very good win.
Hoping for sting out of the ground, or no?
Not really tested on it, but I don't think it'll worry him.
Yep.
So yeah, he'll go up there.
Okay, and what about Lockie Neindorf and the ride? How did you come to get him on the horse, etc.?
Oh, well, he does almost all our riding in South Australia,
okay.
And he obviously gets the job done more times than not, and we've got a lot of confidence in him, and he does a lot of work for our stable. He even comes over to Melbourne when we want him, so there's no problems putting Lockie on.
He's an interesting case study, isn't he, Lockie? Because he went across to Melbourne, and I think as an apprentice, and he had sort of, I remember, what was it? Promised the world and delivered an atlas. He said about working for one of the trainers. He never got a go, and then sort of kicked around Victoria for a while before heading back to Adelaide. And he's really starting to make a fist of it now.
Yeah, he is. He probably came over to Victoria too soon. He wasn't ready for it. I think he's definitely good enough to come back here and ride at the top level. But at the moment, we're focusing on Adelaide, and he's getting Group 1 some good opportunities. So. That's really good.
Okay, Phillip. Well done. Thanks for coming on the program today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There he goes, Phillip Stokes. Righto, Bradley. Sunday saviour time.
A few words.
Well, he is, yeah. I think you upset him.
Yeah, well, why?
Hey, you got out of him a potential winner on Wednesday. I thought that was some of your best work.
Thank you very much. Can I put it in my Sunday saviour?
No.
To Wednesday, Bridget to Wednesday. Rockhampton race 1, number 3, Boom Crusher, even money. So we'll get that one.
Yep.
Dubbo race 2, number 3, Presnell, Gonya Maxi.
Yep.
$1.60 there. And then the Sapphire Coast race 6, number 13. These sandbars are going all right. Look across the water, Marty. $3.10. So Rockhampton race 1, number 3. Dubbo race 2, number 3. Sapphire Coast race 6, number 13. Roll them in together. $10 for Ginger and I today. We'll be sipping champagne and putting strawberries down our gobs by the end of the day.
She's a beauty, Jimmy. Ginger, don't worry about that. Now, Jim Pommy Pie.
Ginger.
He got the quaddie yesterday. Thanks to Racing Gods. He rarely loses, Jimmy. He's a beauty. Another one off the text
He never
line.
loses.
Melsham needs to get rubbed out. Who's that from? That's from Gordon. I'll have to go back and have a look at this.
So should have Jinby, shouldn't he?
Well, I haven't said, what did he do?
No, in the pre-season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Brad, we've got to get moving.